Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Diggs. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest. Today, we're going to be talking about Kain. We're also going to be talking about the new VC card, Demon Wall, and what some of the global exclusive changes mean for you. The video will be segmented, so if you do want to see the Demon Wall section, just check the timestamp down in the description. All right, well, Kain has been a unit that a lot of people have been waiting for. He's a primary Dark Elemental unit with movement 3, jump 4. His primary job is Baron's Dragon Knight with subjob Viking and Paladin. Main job Spear. Secondary armor is going to be Armor, Helm, and Accessory. His TMR, Dragoon Helm, is very interesting and is the second TMR that is actually going to add movement to a character. So for those of you that really like Ketone's TMR, this is actually going to be right up your alley. It is going to add 384 HP, defense 10, critical hit rate 8, and the TMR ability does add that move 1 for 3 turns. It also grants haste 42% for 3 turns for self, so that is not to be trifled with. I'm not sure it's going to be as powerful as an AP generation TMR, but it's still going to be pretty good on its own, and I'm sure it'll have its own uses. His mastery ability is going to increase defense penetration 20 for himself and increase accuracy 10 as well. Being a dark element, of course, he's going to have 10% weakness to a light. He does have some interesting resistances, pretty much 5% to everything across the board, except for magic, which he is going to be 10% weak to. Now, his limit break, the Dragonbane, has a 67% chance to inflict slow. For those that don't know, that's pretty much a guaranteed chance for slow to land on the target. It's also a cross shape AoE for 200% damage. If I were to ask if this limit break were worth investing in, I would say potentially. I really need to see it in action, and one question I would have is what the range height on it is as well. So it's going to be something that we might be coming back to when you see me tinkering with him later on. In terms of his base stats, he does have 2,301 HP. That makes him 19th out of 101 for HP in the game. Attack 273, which makes him 13th. Agility 53, which makes him 42nd. Dex 133 and Luck 154. Now he does get Luck plus 48. He gets Agility plus 4. A little concerning that his agility is only at 57. Usually we see a lot of units with agility, a little bit higher than that. So little concerning there. He does get a passive defense 4. He also gets luck plus 20%, and he does get an additional 63 attack, which would put him in the range of 330, which is what you would pretty much expect for a UR attacking unit. Now, thanks to Kisang, we do have image of Kain's limit break here. So thank you so much, Kisang, for being a friend of the channel and always letting us show your limit break videos here. I would say pretty much what you would expect of Kain. He does look like somewhat of a badass when he is doing that. We're gonna go ahead and move on. Support abilities, he does have access to the Viking support abilities, of course, which is going to increase HP 12%, increase attack 24%. I would say that's one you would either want to have that one on, or you want to have Blessing of the Holy Knight, which is going to give defense 12, HP 12%. And then Pride of the Dragoon Knight Captain, increase attack 60% for self, and then decrease defense 5 for self. I think you could make a case either way for Viking Tips or Blessing of the Holy Knight, depending on whether you want him to be a little tanky or not. And even Missile Resistance does have potentially some uses as well. In terms of his counters, I would say he does have access to Paladin Guard, which, for those of you that know me, that's one of my favorite counter abilities, just because it mitigates so much damage and physical damage at that. However, Counterattack Spear does have a 30% chance to proc, which is pretty good. So I'm going to say you could probably get away with either of those. I think if you're going to go for a little bit of a tanky Cecil, that chance to proc Paladin Guard could be the difference between winning and losing a match. So I think you're probably going to want to go for Paladin Guard most of the time. In terms of his main kit, everyone, I'm actually going to recommend not turning off a single ability here. And that's surprising. And it's because most of his kit is situational and pretty powerful. Y'all are going to be very disappointed that he only has one jump ability, though. And this is something I was really surprised about, because as you see here, Dragon Raid is his only jump ability with a timer associated with it. So a little disappointing for me. I personally love the jump abilities. I'm sure he's going to jump in his animation, because how could you not jump with an attack like Piercing Brain? But for those of you who are Dragoon fanatics, just something to keep in mind here. He basically has Piercing Lance, which is going to decrease the piercing resistance of the target. His self buff is agility 25% and attack 40%. This is really going to help offset that low agility that he has. Piercing Brain has a 25% chance to inflict confusion. What I like about this attack is that it's a 3-strike cross attack. And usually when we see these attacks very similar to Leap Strike, they can be very powerful and hit multiple enemies, particularly in arena. So it's going to be one of those attacks that I think Piercing Brain is going to be a really good game changer. Dragon Raid is going to be the first attack we have that decreases healing power on the target by 50%. So this is actually going to be pretty useful as well, particularly against Ayakas and tanks. And then Blood Lance is going to absorb HP 126%. So you could make a case for putting that defense passive on him. In terms of subbing Baron Knight, he does get Swipe Spear, which is essentially a hit in all 3 squares in front of him. And he also gets Hazard Thrust, which gives him 170% and consumes his own HP, but increases Light Killer 30x. So if you want him to be the Warrior of Light killer, if you want him to be the Engelbert killer, subbing Baron's Dragon Knight is going to be the way to go. Keep in mind, though, that Engelbert has a lot of pierce resistance, so it's going to be really up in the air. And if you're subbing Baron's Dragon Knight, you're going to lose out on some of the benefits of the other passives, or sorry, the other jobs, and you might actually want to run the other jobs. Let's talk about that. I'm not a huge fan of running sub Viking. Increases defense 10 for 3 turns, lowers evasion, but increases attack. I could see Anti-Bone Spirit being run on him, and people actually popping it. Honestly, though, I would think you would just want it mainly for launch and whole body blow. I think Sub Paladin is going to be really powerful on him if utilized properly. He's going to give him access to Sentinel. It's going to give him access to Immortal Spirit. And I don't think you're going to want to use Divine Grace. Instead, you're going to want to use Blood Lance, right? So I could see a bit of a defensive anti-tank Kain in a way, but I don't think, I don't think that these abilities for Hazard Thrust are going to offset Sub Paladin. But if you're going for the Warrior of Light killer or the enemy light element unit killer, this is going to be really helpful. This is also going to be really good against a future Yuna, I imagine, or future light compositions. And while we don't have an EX Kain yet, I guarantee you he will be coming. Now, let's take a look at his equipment here. Wind Spear is going to be released in the event. It's not going to be released on launch week, but it's going to be launched as part of a box event that's going to be coming afterwards. So it's going to give Pierce Attack 15, Assault Attack 168, or you can go for the AIM version, but I really wouldn't go for this because this is a really high attack penalty, and it gives accuracy plus 17. I would really rather go for the AIM Ice Lance if you're going for that. You could go for the critical hit one as well, which gives 17 crit and 134 assault and 8 accuracy. It's kind of a middle of the road. And I know there's going to be lots of people out there doing the math on which one is going to be best for him. I'm expecting to see him wearing armor, so I'm probably going to see Armor of Light on him. He is one of the few units that can wear armor, so that's pretty unique for like Dragoon type-ish characters, I feel like. maybe not. I mean, Victoria can wear armor, Glaciella can wear armor. So maybe it's not too unique. I just, for some reason, in my mind, I feel like Kain is a little bit more tankier. And maybe that's just because he has access to the Paladin passives and Drain HP. In terms of TMRs, he can equip Uldoa's TMR, he can equip the White Wolf's armor, he can equip Ziza's bells, and he can equip Dragoon Helm, which is his own TMR, of course. So I would think either of those would be great for him. In terms of cards, of course, running through snowfields for the agility up would be helpful. Having a Diablos in the party for the dark attack up would be great. Titan for the physical man-eater. Of course, if you do have Demon Wall, this is going to be the card that you are really going to want to put on him. And we're going to talk about that in a second, because the second part of this video is going to go over the Demon Wall and kind of what the changes are. Ifrit, of course, for that attack up. We also have the Final Fantasy IV card, and then some other options down here if you don't have any of those UR cards. Specifically, it's going to be Secret Orders and Ochu. In terms of Espers, we're going to see Siren, Ifrit, and Titan. Really, it's only those three, because those are the three that have Pierce attack up. I could actually see Titan being probably the best, because you can invest in some Spirit up as well, and kind of help add to that tankiness for Kain. However, Siren also has Slash resist up, so it's really going to depend on what you're going for. Let's talk about Demon Wall. And I know there's people out there who have a lot to say about this, I'm sure. And no doubt the global changes are incredible. So let's talk about what the changes are to the card versus what it was originally. So Demon Wall has HP 352, attack 132, luck 26. On the specific unit that it's equipped on, if it's a dark element, it will increase attack 30%. Party-wide, it's going to give pierce attack 30, and then it's going to give slash resistance 12%. And then this, which is interesting, is a JP effect that was not on the global card on the details that were released. So dark resistance 20% for dark allies. This has actually been replaced, which I think is really interesting. So this is gone as far as we know from what was released in the live letter video. Instead, we are getting activation requirements for Kain only, pierce attack power up, activation requirements for Cecil and Rosa only, attack power up, and then of course we're getting the dark only units attack up. So this is really powerful. This is actually more powerful than the Igaion card, I believe, for Kain. And there's a couple reasons for that, and let's talk about that, right? Of course, the Igaion card that came out, comparing it to Moraga, it has more accuracy, right? And has more slash attack for Sid and for any wind element sword users, so Howlet, Dario. And, you know, I talked a lot about how the power difference between Moraga and the Igaion card was not big enough to justify maxing out the Igaion card if you're like a Dolphin or, you know, a free-to-play. If you have your Moraga card already, you're probably good just keeping it. If I have to compare this card to, say, something similar, right? Like, I would compare it to the Igaion card, but unlike the Igaion card, it actually has benefits that affect multiple units, right? And it gives double bonus to Kain. So what does that mean? It means that Kain is essentially going to get twice the bonus being a dark element unit, because he's going to benefit from the attack up, right? And he's going to benefit from the pierce attack up. So this would be like if we had Igaion, okay? And Igaion gave an additional 30% attack to Sid, as well as that plus 20 slash attack, right? So that's kind of how I would read this and how I would look at it. It's basically almost a step up from the Igaion compared to Moraga. So if you are someone who's been saving for Kain and who is going to go really hard on Kain, this card is a huge upgrade. And it is a very powerful way for you to go, particularly if you are looking at pierce attack up compositions. Now, of course, the other thing you have to think about is this is going to be paired with Titan as well as Snowy Fields. And Snowy Fields has its own powerful individual effect because it gives agility up, and then it gives piercing attack 35 for the party. I think this probably outdoes Snowy Fields to the point where I would level this and not run Snowy Fields as much as I used to. That being said, though, there could be a case for running Snowy Fields over this because of the agility bonus alone that Snowy Fields offers. If you're running into situations where maybe Kain's dying because he's not fast enough, or maybe if you're in a live PvP situation. I think for most people, though, the power difference between this card and Snowy Fields, if you do have a maxed out Kain, is substantial, right? And I think this card is going to be a must get if you are running Kain, and I think it's definitely going to make your Kain stronger, and it's going to make him kind of in that capacity to one-shot units even more. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Do remember, if you are planning on buying Visior for the Final Fantasy IV event, please use my affiliate link, dig.gs/coins, or go to dig.gs/offer. And it really helps to support me, and it's why I can keep doing what I do. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.